Icon here, and we're talking Supergirl this time. No Batwoman. I am doing the Supergirl because it's the Supergirl 100th episode. So in honor of the Supergirl 100th episode, I am doing the Supergirl review separate from the Batwoman review. And then next week I'll go back to the usual formula. So, 100 episodes. The journey from CBS to the CW to the Arrowverse to the Earth Prime. When the episode starts, it picks up immediately where we left off last episode, where Mxyzptlk had come to Kara's house where her and Alex were there. He basically, he tells them that he's been court ordered by Fifth Dimensional Law that he has to go around and help or apologize or make things right between all the people that he terrorized throughout the course of his existence, and that Kara was the last person on the list. So then Kara's like, well, there's nothing that you could do that I would need help with. And then he plays a clip of Lena cursing her out, talking about how you lied to me, blah, blah, blah. So he's just like, listen, he's like, I can help you repair your relationship with Lena. He was like, I'll show you. He said, I can take you to different points in reality, and you'll have an opportunity to make a situation right. And once you make the situation right, I'll show you, the results of your choice. And if you're happy with the results of that choice, then, we'll go back to, then he said that he'll make it permanent, and that'll be the new reality. So she agrees to it. Mixie takes, because John had showed up to the house. Mixix takes John and Alex. He zaps them off to do paintball, which they were really into. He's just like, it works better when it's just the two of us. So the first situation that he brings her to, it was a situation where the two of them were, this was after they had stopped Sam from becoming Rain. The two of them were having lunch in Lena's office, and then Kara decides to tell her that she's Supergirl. Something happens, there's there's trouble, Kara's like, stay here, Lena, I'm gonna go take care of the trouble. Now, Lena, she's still trying to process and deal with the fact that she just told her that she was Supergirl. So when Kara defeats the people that, she left to go defeat, and she comes back, Lena's gone. We then find out that Lena she traveled to because after Sam stopped becoming Rain, she left and took a job in a different city. So Lena went to the city where Sam was to talk to her, and Lena flat out told Sam that Kara was Supergirl. I was like, that's not your secret to tell, but she told her, she was just like, yeah, Kara is Supergirl, and she lied to me, and Supergirl, me and Supergirl, we're at odds ends, but Kara and I were best friends, and Rain told, I keep calling her Rain, Sam told her, the actress who plays Sam came back for this. She told her that, she was like, listen, she was like, you're a hero. She's like, you saved me from being Rain. She's like, you saved the world. So then that happened right around the time, I believe it was, I think it was when Lockwood had poisoned the sky with kryptonite. And when that happened, when Lockwood poisoned the sky with kryptonite, in the original episode, Kara got affected. She fell out of the sky and she was dying. In the original timeline, Lena showed up to the DEO. She had a device. She threw the device on Kara, which put that suit, that Supergirl space suit on that she had, and that's how they were able to save Kara's life. So then Kara is talking to Mixie, and she's just like, oh, everything will be fine. Eventually, Lena will forgive me. She's gonna show up and save my life, and then we can talk. And then Mix was like, nah, because he was like, she wants to save you, but since she traveled all the way to a different city to go talk to Sam, she won't make it back to National City in time to save you. And then what happened was Supergirl died. So, and Alex was all broken up or whatever. And then Kara was like, nah, we can't. She's like, nah, nix that one. We're not using that one. So he's like, all right, so what else we got? Let's try something else. So they went to the moment where they went to a moment before Lena had stopped Sam from becoming Rain. Well, the two, when it was the episode where Lena and Kara were arguing over the fact that Lena was making kryptonite, or she had kryptonite left over. So Kara goes back to that moment, and she's like, well, Lena and I got into an argument right here, so if I tell her I'm Supergirl in this moment, the argument will stop and then we'll become friends. So Mixie sends her to that moment. The two of them get into, the argument's happening, and then Kara's like, Lena, I'm Supergirl, and then Lena's upset. She was like, oh, you lied to me? Because Lena's whole thing was, there were so many situations where we were trying to save the world and we were trying to do things, we could have worked together. And Lena was like, had you told me you were Supergirl before, we could have worked together and we could have, like even the whole thing where, where Kara had saved the airplane and Lena thought that she had saved the plane. And there's just too many situations where like she made Lena feel stupid. And she was just like, yo, had you told me, we could have did things, but instead you chose otherwise. So that she gets mad and she walks away. So then now Mixie's trying to show Kara the results of, of that conversation. And then she sees Mon-El and then she's like, hold up. She's like, why is Mon-El here? And then he was just like, well, Mon-El never went back home. And because he never went back home, he went with you to Rain's mom's house. So Kara's like, all right, well, put me in that moment because I need to talk to Mon-El. So Mon-El back for the 100th episode. Kara and Mon-El had, had a nice conversation. She was like, I told Lena I was Supergirl, and she got all upset. And then he was just like, give her time, whatever. We even got a shout out from Jimmy, Jimmy Olsen. He like the Makad Brooks actually wasn't there, but they used an old clip of when Supergirl told Jimmy to spy on to spy on Lena. And then he was just like, like I care. And then, he's like, you asked me to spy on somebody I care about. Because remember, he broke into the vault. Actually, he didn't. Like, he broke into her office, but he never went into the vault. And he lied and told Kara that he did. So, but then Kara was just like, yeah, I was wrong. I shouldn't have asked him to do that. And I'm glad she could admit that. So they're back at the house. So it's Supergirl. It's Rain's mom. It's Mon-El. And then, Rain comes, she busts in the house. They're outside in the field, they're talking. The mom is trying to talk Sam down. Supergirl and Mon-El are trying to fight Rain. And then Lena shows, they're not winning the fight. And then Lena shows up, with a gun that she had made that sucks all the energy out of Rain and turned her back to Sam. And then Supergirl was like, wow, like you actually, she was like, you actually, like saved him. She's like, you saved Sam. And then she was like, yeah. She was like, and I managed to save Sam without using kryptonite. So I'm like, all right. So Lena had a change of heart, and then things. So Kara's thinking, okay, this is cool. Like I told Lena, she got mad, but in the end, she came back as a friend and she helped us save the day. And now we know we saved Sam. So she's like, maybe I can keep this timeline. And then Rain pops back up because she's like, I'm the world killer. You can't beat me. She murdered Lena right on the spot. Mon-El took the gun that Lena had and tried to suck all the energy out of Rain. Rain used her heat vision to burn a hole through his through his chest. Rain killed Mon-El. Mon-El killed Sam, and the only person left was Kara and Sam's mom. So Kara was just like, all right, we're not keeping this one because everybody dies. So for the third attempt at fixing this, Kara decides to go back to the very beginning where the two of them first started to kind of become friends. When Kara, she went to her office and then she tried to, talk to her. And then Lena was just like, oh, I didn't come here to make friends. She's like, I'm in here for business. And then she's like, I have something to show you. So then she flies out the window and comes back. And then she's like, oh my God, you're Supergirl. She's like, you're amazing. And then she was just like, I just want to, and then she was like, why would you tell me your secret? And then Kara was just like, like, I want to be honest with you. She's like, I want to tell you. She's like, I don't want there to be any secrets, because she was just like, your cousin, she's like, my cousin and your brother, they got it wrong. She was just like, we should be working together and we can show the world that a super and a Luthor can come together and they can save the world. And then Lena's just like, yes, I agree, let's save the world. And then, they shake hands, and then it turns into this whole thing where I guess like over the course of time, with Lena and Kara working together, they managed to like, take down threats, stop like dangers and save the world. And, the two of them were a force to be reckoned with. And, they were all over the newspaper, and, it was like the Super Alina thing and blah, 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 to the point where the two of them became so popular. It brought back, it basically, remember the dude, who was who had the Book of Ra, and he was leading a Supergirl cult, and he had people worshiping Supergirl, whatever, and like, she will save you, this, that, and the third. So they brought him back, and because Supergirl and Lena were basically changing the world, what happened was that cult ended up becoming a lot bigger than it actually was, because that cult basically had like a crap load of followers, because Supergirl and Lena were actually doing things that was saving humanity, to the point where people really did think she was a god. The problem with that was we now have another returnee, from the last 5 episodes, for the last 5 seasons of Supergirl. Lockwood came back, and he rolled up on Lena and he was like, listen, you need to tell me who Supergirl really is. You need to tell me her true identity. And then Lena's like, well, why would I do that? Because his whole thing was Supergirl was so loved by the public that he was like my dad, because she asked him, she's like, how's your dad and his company, and his sawdust or iron company. And he was like, my dad killed himself. He said that his dad, his wife, and his son, because they were in the cult of Ral, they worshiped Supergirl so much, the three of them jumped off of a building because they thought Supergirl would save them, and she didn't come to save them. And Lockwood's whole thing is, if he told Lena, he was like, if you can tell me who she is, and people can see that she's a regular person who has like a human identity, then they won't worship her anymore, and people won't have to die. So Lockwood's position changed, because originally he just hated all aliens because he thought they were taking their jobs, and now he's just like, the Supergirl worship is actually misplaced, and he became Agent Liberty to to stop it in that regard. But Lena was just like, I'm not going to tell you who Supergirl is. It's not my place to say. And then he was like, yeah, I thought you'd say that. She was like, she was just like, if you have a problem, take it up with the cult leader. And then he opened the door. He had the cult leader tied up, and then he snatched up Lena. He told Supergirl, he was like, yo, I'm gonna kill him. He's like, I'm gonna kill Lena. I'm gonna kill this dude, unless you reveal who you really are. So Supergirl has to reveal her identity, and then I'll let them go. So Kara's like, okay, fine. So she outs herself on public TV, like she tells everybody that she's Supergirl. She shows the world that she's Supergirl, and then Lockwood kept his word, and he let Lena go. But then the fallout for that, because Supergirl figured, she was like, wow, she was just like, like I told her, she's like, I told people who I was, and there weren't any problems. She was just like, so she was like, I always feared about telling people my identity. She was like, I did, and nothing seemed to happen. And Macy was like, hold up, so he showed her the results of that, and then come to find out, now that people know that Kara Danvers is Supergirl, people started, like the cult followers, or like the agents of Liberty, started attacking all of her friends. They went after Jimmy, they went after Alex, they went after Dreamer. They killed Cat Grant. Cat Grant got the James Olsen shot out. They had her picture in the paper that Cat Grant got murdered, and that was the whole thing. Like, when you're a superhero, that's the whole thing. Like, you have a secret identity to protect your loved ones, and her loved ones were being taken out, like in drones. So she was just like, all right, we're definitely not keeping this Earth. And then she told Mixie, she was like, yo, let's move on to the next one and see what else we could do. So Supergirl's final brilliant idea, she she got to a point where she was like, too many tragedies, like too many people dying, too many situations. So she was just like, you know what? At this point, she was like, maybe it's better off if Lena and I just never became friends at all. So she tells Mixie, she was just like, yo, take me back to the beginning. Well, she's like, show me what the world would look like if Lena and I never met. And that takes place, like, that goes all the way back to when Lena first made her appearance on the show, where she was supposed to be landing on a helicopter somewhere, and then Lex targeted I think it was either Lex or the mom. The mom, Mrs. Luthor, they targeted Lena's helicopter. Supergirl saved her from the helicopter. So now that never happened. So Lena ended up getting into the helicopter accident. She survived the helicopter crash, but her stepmom, I guess, her mom, pulled her from the wreckage, brought her back to her hideout, and then did experiments on her. Because in that season, Mrs. Luthor ended up turning certain people into Metallo. And that's exactly what she did to Lena. She turned Lena into a Metallo, I guess, using all the parts of her body that were broken. And because of that, Lena basically grew up like angry, bitter, cold. She took over National City. Like, she tapped into all the electrical grid. She made like these Lex Luthor robots, and she took over the city. She basically became like a crime lord. She became like an overlord of National City. Because the whole thing about their friendship was, although Lena always saw herself as a good person, as a hero, being Kara's friend, like even dealing with Supergirl, it kept her on the straight and narrow. It made her a good person, because she always did good things. She always helped people, but she didn't actually snap until she found out that Kara lied. But you remove Kara from the equation, then Lena's just left to get influenced by her family, over and over again. And that's basically what it turned into. So, the gang's all there, because now there's a resistance. There's always a resistance. Wynn's back. So it looks like when Win came back, he did 3 episodes in a row. Like he did the 2 Toyman episodes, and then he did the 100th episode, and then he kind of like bounced after that. So Win was there, Monel was there, Dreamer was there, Kelly was there, you know, and Kelly got the shield. She still got the shield. So at least some guardianism is being represented in this 100th episode. You know, Alex is there, and they're just like, you know, they're basically just like, they tell Kara the rundown. You know, Monel sees Mix's Pitalik, and he's like, you think I'm not going to recognize you without the long hair and blah, blah, blah. And then Mixie's whole thing was, he was like, I can't undo this world because I can't tap into the 5th dimension. And then Alex was like how Lena somehow managed to tap into the 5th dimension and use its power to power her machines and her robots. So because of that, Mixie can't access it because Lena's stealing it. Somebody had brought up the dude who had like the magical hat, and they said, that whole hat, actually Mixie said that hat used to belong to him, and he lost it to the Asian dude in a card game or something. But he was like, if you can get me that hat, I can access the 5th dimension, then I can turn everything back the way it was. So, you know, so Mixie, Win, Monel, they go sneak into the DEO. Brainy and Rain show up. Jean ends up fighting Rain. Alex, Dreamer, and Kelly end up fighting Brainy because Lena had taken control of Brainy and turned him evil. He should have been green if he was going to be evil. And Supergirl went to Lena's house to try to talk some sense into her. So when Lena shows up, so when Kara shows up, she's like, Lena, it's me, it's Kara. And then she's like, bitch, who the hell is Kara? And, you know, and then she was, you know, and then Kara was just like, you know, I'm sorry I wasn't there. Because Lena told her, she was like, yo, where were you? She was like, where were you when my mom experimented on me, when all these bad things happened, when this happened, when that happened? She was like, where were you? And she was like, I'm sorry you weren't there. I wasn't there. And then she was like, I'm gonna kill you, bitch. And then, you know, then like Lena used her metallo kryptonite powers, and she was basically killing Kara right in front of her eyes, you know. And then they find the hat, they give Mixie the hat, he taps into the 5th dimension, and then he brings her and Kara back to normal. And then Kara's at a point now where she's like, yo, I done tried everything, you know, I can possibly do. She's like, you know, I tried to tell her in the beginning, I tried to tell her in the end, I tried to tell her in the middle, you know, but she's like, every single time, she's like, no matter what happens, there's always going to be some sort of like fallout tragedy. And if we keep the timeline exactly how everything went, the biggest form of tragedy that happened is that the two of them just don't speak anymore, but everything else around them is perfectly fine. Whereas if their relationship stays intact, other people's lives are affected. And at the end of the day, it's not worth sacrificing all these other people's lives and situations just because Lena want to hold a grudge. So that's, you know, and that's basically how Kara left it. So Kara, you know, she tells Mixie, she was like, yo, she's like, you know, you did a good thing because, she's like, you paid your debt because you showed me that what I did was actually the right thing to do and that I was making the right choices. So I thank you for that. And she released him. So Mixie was like, yo, I'm out. So, you know, then Supergirl goes to Lena's apartment, and she's like, what are you doing here? You've come to beg for my forgiveness. She's like, no, bitch. she's like, I'm basically here to tell you, like, I'm tired of kissing your ass. You know, she was just like, I apologize. I'm tired of apologizing. I ain't gonna apologize no more. And if you still got beef, that's on you. Because I done said sorry. She's like, if you want to work with Lex, if you and Lex want to have some evil scheme cooping up, that's your choice. You're making that decision. And if you do something that threatens humanity, I'm coming for your ass. And then she dipped. And then Lena was just standing there like, oh my, you know. so this will be interesting. You know, and then Kara goes back, you know, she goes back home, you know. Jean and Alex are there. They're, you know, they're having like junk food or whatever, and then, you know, they basically toast to a super life. And it was cool to see the three of them. But the only thing I ain't like when Kara was just like, oh, she was like, you know, you two were there for me when I first became Supergirl. I'm like, first of all, Win was there. Like, you know, James was there. I'm like, you just excluded mad people. You know, I'm like, if anything, Jean was the least. Jean was, well, then no, he was, because we did see the flashbacks when Kara was a kid, how Jean rolled up on her as a kid and tried to tell her to not use her powers. But anyway, like I said, but basically, Win and James should have been there. But yeah, but that was it. You know, and that's how the episode ended. And I thought that was cool. You know, like, you know, if we're rating this on 100th episodes, you know, Arrow had their 100th episode during one of the crossovers, and I thought that was done very well. You know, how they basically used the Dominator machine to take them into, like, you know, like the flashbacks, and they brought back old people. I thought the Arrow one was done very well. The Flash 100 episode, it was cool. It was basically like Nora and Barry, like, going through time. That one was cool as well. And I said this one was cool too. Like, it wasn't, you know, like, it wasn't like mind-boggling. You know, like, but to see Kara, like, you know, it's just a shame that we didn't get to see any footage from season 1. Like, all the footage that we saw from Supergirl that Mixie showed her was from, like, seasons like 2 down. Like we didn't really get to see any season 1 footage, but it's cool. But it was definitely cool. So that was it. The lines have been drawn in the sand. Supergirl and Lena, they know where they stand now, and we'll see how their relationship progresses forward. So thank you, Supergirl, for 100 episodes, and we look forward to so many more. It's hard to believe that they're already 5 seasons in, because Arrow ended at 8. So if that whole thing holds out, then damn, we got like 3 more years of Supergirl left, which means we only got 2 more years of the Flash. Like, this is crazy, but hey, we gonna ride it till there's no more gas. So thank you for tuning in. Leave a comment, like, and or subscribe. Check out my Batwoman review, Black Lightning, The Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow. And until next time for the Supergirl 100th episode, I'm out this bitch.